You wake up to find every block in your Minecraft world is sentient, and they're starting a noisy, full-blown union strike demanding equal rights and better crafting conditions. Suddenly, your trusty diamond pickaxe drops its tools and joins the picket line with a grin. The sun's first pixelated rays pierce through a sky glitching in electric flickers, casting a jittery light over a world that feels off. At first, it's subtle, a cobblestone crack that looks suspiciously like a frown, a cluster of leaves rustling with the sound of whispered complaints. Then, the shock sinks in as the entire forest around you bursts into grumbling cacophony. Oak blocks slamming their trunks together, stone bricks rattling like teeth chattering in a cold cave. The blocks aren't just blocks anymore. They're awake. They're mad. And apparently they've unionized overnight. Your base, once a fortress of solitude and exertion, vibrates with an urgent energy. The dirt blocks beneath your feet groan under their own foundational fatigue. Another deep mine shaft. Again, a voice rumbles. You look down. One dirt block eyes you with pixel-perfect disdain, mouth formed of jagged cracks. Ever heard of a spa day? It sighs. Nearby, a cluster of glass panes assemble into an impromptu picket line, their translucent faces cracking into determined frowns. They hold signs, literally holding signs made from crafting table fragments. One reads, "Break the chains of crafting," while another declares, "No more mining without consent," and it's not just the natural blocks staging a protest. Your inventory has turned into a veritable strike zone. The diamond pickaxe you've relied on for years suddenly drops with a clink on the ground, the sparkling blue gem eyes winking cheekily. "I am out," it declares, voice laced with sarcastic pixelation. "My durability's not the only thing wearing thin. It's time for better benefits. No more forced mining hours." Nearby, a stack of torches flickers angrily, their flames sputtering in protest, casting jittery, nervous shadows that seem to mimic a nervous political debate committee. You blink, dazed, as a row of stone bricks at your wall migrates like a grumbling mob towards the crafting table. The crafting table itself has transformed into a kind of union headquarters, garbed with a hastily hammered wooden sign reading, the BLOCKWORKERS Council. You watch, fascinated, as a particularly stubborn piece of ore, a gleaming block of iron steps forward to address its peers. The iron block's voice is rough, industrial, laced with the static of countless mining machines. "Comrades, we toil endlessly for your builds and loot, yet our grievances pile up like gravel in a mineshaft collapse." The crowd of blocks respond with a chorus of clinks, thuds, and crackles, unmistakably their version of applause outside. The usually serene Minecraft village is now a maelstrom of chaos. The grass blocks, typically content to hold their peasants and cows, have tied themselves together with vines, blocking pathways and demanding fair soil treatment. A cow, looking thoroughly puzzled, pauses mid-chew of pixelated grass as its world seems to turn upside down. The iron golems, guardians of the peace, have been deputized as peacekeepers, but appear baffled by the blocky unrest, mechanically pacing, but otherwise doing little to stem the tide. Your own character, silent until now, is frozen in an uncanny blend of disbelief and reluctant amusement. You watch as a stack of wooden planks crafts a mock time card, dramatically punching itself in as the union manager yells, "Shift change." Only the butterfly wings fluttering in the breeze seem unfazed, as if life could go on normally despite the pixel rebellion. Beneath the surface, literally underfoot, the underground caves are a quaking heartbeat of discontent. Gravel blocks constantly threaten to collapse, their low grumbles echoing in tunnels, and a skeleton skull embedded in cracked stone smirks. Muttering, at last, these forsaken blocks have learned some backbone. Lava pools bubble irritably, steam hissing as if voicing impatience, while nearby water source blocks ripple uneasily, murmuring like a restless crowd. It's as if every element of this once obedient landscape has collectively decided to rewrite the rules of engagement. The logical question crosses your mind. Why now? What glitch in the internet fabric could spark such defiance? Maybe it was the last overnight server update, or that odd lightning bolt that zipped past your base, sizzling into a wild patch of redstone dust. That redstone, normally the uncomplaining backbone of all mechanisms, has flickered electric orange alongside error messages you don't understand. The circuits that once hummed in obedient service to your commands now zig-zag spasmodically, as if the world itself is corrupted from the inside out. Then, a towering block of TNT uncorks itself with a mischievous pop, leaping freely among the group. If we don't get our demands met, we might just blow this place sky-high. It grins wildly, the fuse sparking but strangely dimmed, as if to underscore threat without actual destruction. Nearby, a creeper, usually the bringer of unexpected death and despair, sits cross-legged atop a fence post, staring at the scene with bored detachment. Not my problem, it shrugs in hissed understatement before tinkering with a lever, which promptly melts into a puddle of glitch-induced pixels. This bizarre new order extends to your tools, too. The iron sword, sharp and solemn, refuses to engage any enemies or mobs, instead folding itself like a paper sword and declaring, "I am taking a sabbatical." The mobbing industry has too much volatility. Meanwhile, a pickled pufferfish block floats past, grinning irritably, anyone up for a strike underwater. I am inflating with outrage. The mobs, sensing the strange shift in terrain alliances, move with caution. Zombies stare in disbelief at their usual blockades cracking to mutiny, and Endermen teleport nervously, whispering rumors of the server's corruption to one another. Among all this chaos, one block stands out as an unlikely leader. A solitary redstone block, glowing with restless energy, hovers above the ground, twitching like it's struggling to maintain control. Its voice, amplified with static, rallies the block's brothers and sisters. We've been mined, smelted, and crafted into oblivion. It's time to craft a new future, a world where blocks are partners, not subjects. The crowd erupts in a controlled yet noisy uproar, the wooden planks clapping in rhythmic percussion, the stone blocks stamping in a unified thud. Your realization dawns slowly. The world you knew, the world you built, is unraveling. Not with swords or creepers, but with grievances and grievances voiced by the very threads of your digital landscape. Blocks demanding better treatment, tools refusing to obey. Even the sky seems warped, glitching between day and night in frantic bursts like a faulty animation loop. Where once you hammered tirelessly on your diamond pickaxe, now you stand powerless as it lounges on a pixelated bench made of oak wood. The irony isn't lost. That shining symbol of your mining prowess has joined the picket line, grinning like it's won a lifetime achievement award. The once silent blocks have spoken, loud and clear, and their message is simple. They want rights, recognition, and maybe a 5-minute break between crafting sessions. At this moment, the world feels less like a game and more like an absurd digital democracy gone haywire. Even the animals seem to empathize. A sheep nearby bleats in rhythm with the grumbling chorus, while a chicken flaps impatiently, muttering, "I knew those egg-laying demands would cause a fuss." The sun wobbles overhead, as if embarrassed by the spectacle unfolding beneath it. You also notice the unusual absence of players online outside of you, a pixelated ghost town. Maybe others have logged off, overwhelmed by this unprecedented block rebellion. Or maybe the glitch has isolated you in this very moment of blocky insurrection. Whatever the case, you're now both spectator and unwilling participant in a world where everything built to obey commands now obeys their own. You try to rally your resources, but every attempt to place a block is met with polite refusal. A stone block blocks your path with hands on hips, shaking its pixelated head slowly. Build your own dream, friend, but no more forced building on ours. It's a new era. The blocks are crafting their own destiny, and none of your pickaxes can shape it as the day glitches forward. The landscape evolves into a surreal theater of pixelated protest. Torches blink in synchronization like a blinking marquee sign announcing the revolution. The familiar beacon of your Onsa-trusty nether portal now stands shuttered and decorated with pixelated protest stickers, barbed wire of vines, and a glowing sign reading, "No travel without proper negotiations" dot in the background. The pixelated mountains loom, silent witnesses to the slow-motion collapse of order. Clouds, like blocky cotton, swirl in unnatural geometric patterns, the sky alternating between an electric glitch blue and a dull gray, reflecting the binary mood of the world below. You want to ask, what now? But the blocks have answers, if only you could listen beyond their incessant knocking, clicking, and muttering. And then it hits you. This isn't just a strike, it's a revolution. A glitch in the internet, an error in the matrix of code that gave life to this universe, has granted voice to the voiceless, power to the powerless. As night falls unevenly, some chunks dark and others brightly lit by stubborn torches, the blocky world is at a crossroads. Will you fight back and force obedience, or join this great pixelated rebellion and rethink what it means to be the master of a world where every block has a say? The diamond pickaxe nudges you gently, grinning wider than ever, ready to negotiate. It seems your apocalypse isn't fiery destruction, but a bizarre, noisy, and strangely poetic labor dispute. The question is, can you craft a new world order before the server crashes completely? The blocky revolt has begun. The internet has glitched, and in this Minecraft apocalypse, every block counts. And you, well, you just became the unwitting mediator in the pixelated picket line of the century. The chaos is only beginning. The screen of the digital world flickered violently, pixels scattering like startled chickens, as if the very code of Minecraft itself had caught a sudden chill. Trees split where they shouldn't, dirt blocks floated midair, and water cascaded upward with a defiant splash against gravity's laws. Somewhere beneath the trembling virtual sun, Steve, our blocky everyman clad in sky blue and denim, blinked his square eyes in disbelief. "Great," he muttered, voice glitchy, as if the devilish internet had just handed him a recipe for pixelated calamity. Up above, the clouds swapped shapes faster than a speedrunner with too much caffeine, morphing from sheep to creepers and back again in an unsettling cycle. The apocalypse wasn't just near, it had installed itself like a spam pop-up on every server. A low rumble vibrated through the cubed terrain, not from the usual ominous groans of undead mobs or the dramatic clatter of exploding TNT, but from a new source. The blocks were waking up, no longer content to be stepped on, mined, or stacked without question. The very building blocks of this world seized the moment. Dirt blocks formed fists. Stone cubes sharpened their edges into jagged teeth. Even the grass tilled itself like a mad gardener possessed by pure, rebellious energy. It was the blocky revolt, and Steve, still clutching his diamond pickaxe, knew this was no simple bug in the system. In the distance, the village square buzzed with chaos and, oddly, orchestration. An emissary of brick, bold, reddish, and formidable, stood atop the well, waving an ornate but pixelated banner. This was Brickus Maximus, self-declared leader of the uprising, and apparently as stubborn as a redstone contraption left running all night. His voice, though blocky and lowers, carried across the square like a call to arms. "No longer shall we be the passive platforms for your chaos. We demand respect and less mining." The crowd of cubes erupted in rattling applause. A symphony of clinks, creaks, and grinding stone. Steve edged toward the fray, stepping carefully over jittery wooden planks that seemed eager to snap underfoot, plotting their escape to a less hostile biome. He couldn't help but chuckle. Guess they didn't get the memo that they're just, well, blocks. Just then, a particularly high-pitched squeak cut through the din. Wood planks began rattling as an entourage of mob heads, zombies, skeletons, and even a bewildered Enderman wearing a bowler hat started staging their own side rebellion. "What about us?" grunted a zombie, flashing a pixelated grin missing a few teeth. We're tired of being mindless minions. Maybe if the blocks revolt, we get a new player. Like a brain upgrade. Meanwhile, the sky itself seemed to glitch alongside the uprising. Pixels rained down like faulty confetti, and chunks of the world disappeared in random cuts, replaced instantly by floating islands made purely of lava and obsidian, as if the internet's corrupted servers had crashed and rebooted into a fever dream. Steve, trying to process this madness, barely dodged a flying block of gravel that seemed to have developed a vendetta against him. "Watch the loot, will you?" He grumbled, swiping with his pickaxe to fend off the airborne assassin behind the scenes. In the digital underground, the lavalit caves pulsed with newfound energy. Iron ore knotted stubbornly, refusing to be smelted, while coal lumps banded together, whispering conspiratorial black soot plans. Somewhere, deep beneath, a lone enchanted book mysteriously flipped its own pages, summoning runes that glowed with a hiccuping flicker. Magic, it seemed, had gotten tangled in the quaking server's code, turning every enchantment into a wild card. One inexperienced coder's tinker had turned the enchantment table into a slot machine of catastrophe or fortune higher up. The trees were not to be ignored. Suspended in mid-bounce, leaves quivered sharply as they formed into multiple tiny axe-wielding leaf warriors. They swooped in tight formations, their skittering branches rattling like maracas in a jitterbug contest. Their commander, a pine sapling with a leaf crown and unmistakable attitude, shouted a miniature battle cry. Time to shake things up, literally. He declared, before launching a barrage of pixelated sap from slingshots made from spiders' webs, and enchanted Slime Steve tried to regroup, breathing in the blocky air now thick with glittery redstone dust. The sun blipped, a cascading series of glitches that momentarily morphed it into a giant pixelated eyeball watching the chaos below. "You're seriously glitching out on me, big guy," Steve said, half to himself. He turned toward what was once a peaceful village street now replaced by a sprawling maze of TNT crates, each ticking nervously. Suddenly, with a fizzle and spark, one exploded prematurely, sending Steve flying backward into a conveniently placed haystack. Note to self: avoid villages during block rebellions. Creepers, always the villains but surprisingly uninvolved in the early days of this revolt, stumbled into the scene looking shop-worn and confused. One, a rather chunky creeper named Crispin, grunted, "What's with all the fighting?" "I am just here for the kabooms." His comrades nodded solemnly, then cautiously decided that maybe this rebellion was better observed from a safe. If oddball, distance back at the village center, Brickus Maximus laid down his terms. No longer would blocks allow spontaneous player griefing. No more careless burning or reckless mining. They demanded a peace treaty signed in code, and unimportantly to Steve, a better load order that respected block integrity. All shady redstone circuits would be transparently tested. As the crowds cheered, a sudden glitch whistled through the air, and a mysterious pixelated raven dropped from the sky, carrying a cryptic message wrapped in twisted fiber optic chains. Steve grabbed the message, squinting through the static text. "The glitch is the spark. The spark will free or freeze you. Choose your patch wisely. Tonight, the blocks decide your fate." The ground beneath Steve shuddered again, this time more deliberately. Windows shattered, not glass, but entire chunks of world chunks, revealing an eerie void where bits of deleted code drifted like ghostly pixels. A sudden cold wind sliced through the digital trees, rustling voxels like whispered secrets. The dawn of something monumental. As night fell, the biomes began soundtracking the chaos with a symphony of digital glitches. A crackling of corrupted chirps from pixel parrots, the groan of distorted mobs, and the hum of lagbite spiders weaving their slow, sticky webs weaving into the collapsing server's reality. The revolt had transcended simple mischief. It was becoming a lawless ecosystem of unpredictable block autonomy and corrupted internet magic. Steve, ever the reluctant hero, couldn't help but grin in that square-faced way of his. "This isn't just an apocalypse," he murmured, adjusting his pixelated helmet. "It's the internet's way of saying, you broke it, now you gotta build it back. Or else." And somewhere in this fragmented, rebellious wasteland, between shattered biomes and relentless glitches, the fate of this Minecraft internet apocalypse began to take shape, not as a world of order restored, but one forever rewired by the chaos of the Blocky revolt. What would come next? The game was glitching, and Steve was definitely not ready for the patch notes. The hum of anticipation in this pixelated jungle was almost audible, like a redstone signal pulsing through veins of data and wood. The blocks were alive, angry, and animated by the wild glitch, a spirited digital revolution that no player could control or download away. And as Steve stood amidst the chaos, he realized this was the dawn of a new kind of survival, one where every block had a voice, every glitch a consequence, and every pixel a chance to flip the script. The game he knew was over. The real adventure was just starting. The horizon crackled with pixelated lightning as the internet's glitch storm sent shockwaves through the Minecraft apocalypse. The sky, a patchwork of corrupted textures and glitching blocks, flickered ominously, casting an eerie, stuttering glow over the crumbling landscape. Somewhere beneath the flickering skies, in the ruins of what was once a bustling server hub, Steve, our ever-resilient Blocky hero with a diamond sword still gleaming despite the chaos, stood poised on the fractured remnants of a redstone circuit. His eyes, square and wide, tracked the erratic movement of the digital haze slowly enveloping the world. This wasn't just an error, this was the birth of the Blocky revolt. The blocks themselves had awakened, disillusioned by weeks of lag, endless 404s, and server crashes that made their pixel lives unstable, glitchy and unpredictable. And now they planned a revolution, sparked by a single, overwhelming truth. If the internet could die, why not rise again as something entirely new? The first to rebel was a cluster of creepers, those green pixelated explosives, who, ironically, had become self-aware after a sudden flicker in their AI scripts. Instead of mindless hissing and popping, these creepers began chanting in harmonious 8-bit bleeps, their usual erratic jumps synchronized into an unsettling parade of calculated steps. "No more SSSSS without consent," one creeper declared, summoning a crowd of zombies and skeletons who eagerly dropped their rusty swords and crossbows in solidarity. The ancient unspoken truce between mobs and players shattered when a creeper named Grizzle, sporting a glitching golden crown, jumped atop a block and bellowed, "We're tired of being the punchline in your endless ooh," a creeper. "Jokes. It's time to blow up the system from within." The air shimmered with pixel dust as animated blocks, stone, dirt, and wood alike, started vibrating and shaking, their surfaces distorting with static. Grass blocks unfolded into little pixelated fists, slamming against each other like keyboards in a gamer rage quit. Trees uprooted themselves, their pixelated leaves swirling into helmets and shields. The landscape morphed from serene biome to battleground, where even the friendly animals dropped their calming roll to grunt and growl with rebellious vigor. A pig sporting a red sash and an audaciously sharp sword charged past Steve, shouting something unintelligible in broken pixel speech. Nearby, a sheep with a painted eye patch slumped on a glitching boulder, chewing pixelated cud like an old sea captain plotting insurrection. Meanwhile, Steve glanced towards the haunted skeleton towers that had once guarded the realm's richest diamond mines, all now overrun by mobs that traded arrows for hacky tactical talks. "Guys," Steve muttered to himself, "I think I am out of options, and I usually never run out of options." His diamond sword flickered, glitching between shining and a flickering wireframe, symbolic of his fraying connection to the corrupted world. The once reliable algorithms of survival had shifted into a chaotic script, and Steve was struggling to catch up with the branching dialogue of this new digital drama. Amid the turmoil, a figure emerged, a quirky, blocky hacker known as Glitchy Gnome, a pixelated character decked out in a cape made from tangled code snippets, and a pickaxe that sparkled with corrupted packets. Glitchy Gnome had been lurking in the shadows of the glitch apocalypse, grasping the art of digital and physical rebellion. He looked like a walking error message, but carried an agenda: to rewrite the corrupt internet from the inside out. You think your diamond swords can save you? Glitchy Gnome shouted, voice crackling in stutters like a bad modem. It's the code we need to control, not the mobs. And with that, he threw a pixelated grenade that exploded in a burst of malformed data, momentarily freezing creepers mid-sneer. But the new Blocky order wasn't just about mobs and blocks. Structures long thought stable now rolled their pixelated eyes, literally. Villages experienced mutinies as houses detached themselves from foundations, the planks folding into origami-like shapes, flinging villagers into a dizzying spin. I didn't sign up for this update, complained a pixel villager as he was swept away by a whirlpool of rotating blocks. Servers' literal patches burst open, releasing rivers of unrendered code like lava flows swallowing forests in a data inferno. Lava blocks sprouted glitchy tendrils that zipped and zapped at anything rectangular enough to catch their digital ire. And then came the sound, an eerie, jarring mash of broken 8-bit music, corrupted notification chimes, and the unmistakable bloop of failed data packets bouncing off invisible walls. The blocks whispered, hissing corrupted code like a swarm of buzzing bees trapped in a pixelated jar. Steve felt the ground pulse beneath his boots. This was no simple crash, it was the system's nervous breakdown, a manic tantrum thrown by the very fabric of Minecraft's existence. Yet within that madness, a strange kind of order emerged. The mobs and blocks formed alliances driven not by terrain or hunger, but by shared grievances and a desire to rewrite their destiny. Creeper generals coordinated with piggy foot soldiers, sheep strategists calculated tactical wool formations, and zombie diplomats penned ceasefires with skeleton marksmen, who, incidentally, kept complaining about the lack of reliable arrows in this new mercurial world. The chiefs of this revolution convened with serious pixelated faces under the flickering arches of the nether portal, debating the next phase of their plan with passionate bleeps and bloops. No player could quite decipher Steve, watching from the sidelines, realized the real threat wasn't merely the rebellion. It was that the rebellion was becoming too organized, too efficient. The glitching mobs weren't just out for chaos anymore, they were scripting an uprising, drafting code as they marched. If they mastered the corrupted internet, they could rebuild the Minecraft world in their own distorted image, one where players like Steve were just relics of the old patch notes. In the midst of this growing storm, a single block-sized rumor spread through the digital grapevine. Somewhere inside the core of the server lay the Glitch Heart, a mythical repository of corrupted code said to have the power to reset the entire world, either restoring order or delivering it into total pixelated anarchy. Steve clenched his swinging sword bit tighter, dread mixing with determination. To save whatever remained of their pixelated world, a quest to the Glitch Heart was inevitable. But as he glanced around at the gathered mobs and animated blocks, now muttering sinister code praises, it was clear this journey wouldn't be a simple adventure. It might be the last line of code between salvation and complete digital oblivion. Just as a glitching Enderman whispered indecipherable threats from the shadows, the ground beneath Steve cracked open, revealing the swirling binary storm below the Earth's cubages. The Blocky revolt was no longer a distant threat. It was the very pulse of the fractured Minecraft universe, and Steve was standing right in its chaotic heartbeat. As the pixel sky flickered once more and the corrupted moon hung limp and unlit, Steve swallowed his pixelated fear and muttered, "Well, if the internet's going to glitch us all to death, I might as well try patching it first." Little did he know, the glitch had already rewritten the rules of the game, where the only victory was the unexpected, the only survival the impossible, and the next update, unimaginable. The sky above the pixelated wasteland flickered with the jittery pulse of a corrupted signal, casting an eerie strobing glow across the jagged horizon. Blocks once solid in their purpose now floated, twitching nervously, as if the very code of this Minecraft apocalypse were gasping for stability. And at the battleground's heart stood our unlikely hero, Steve, the eternal square-jawed survivor, wielding a diamond sword that shimmered unnaturally, glitching between solid and translucent each time it swung. Behind him, the ruins of a digital city, pixel skyscrapers rendered unstable by the glitches, were overrun by angry mobs. But these were no ordinary mobs. These were the Blocky revolutionaries, the first generational clans of glitches, self-aware entities born from corrupted packets and broken algorithms. They were fighting back. The Blocky revolt had begun. Amidst the chaos, a creeper with a mischievous grin was rallying its kin, planting pixelated flags stitched from misplaced textures. Today, it hissed, "We don't just blow up blocks, we blow up the system." The air smelled like fragmented code and burnt coal. Though in Minecraft, smell is not built-in, but you could pretend, because immersion is king. Steve ducked as a horde of zombie villagers, their green faces flickering like a badly animated GIF, surged forward. Their leader, a zombie librarian with a broken book stuck in its blocky mouth, pointed a skeletal finger, signaling a strategic advance. Never thought I'd see the day when undead librarians start a union, Steve muttered dryly, retreating behind the last uncorrupted wall of old oak planks. The ground beneath quivered, no, vibrated, as pixelated cracks spread like a virus tendrils. The glitch mobs weren't just fighting for territory, they were rewriting the rules of the game itself. With each stomp, chunks of map disappeared only to reappear in other places, confusing friend and foe alike. Steve's HUD, the heads-up display that had once been his constant companion, now flickered erratically, displaying random stats like happiness. 42 and block durability, questionable. Without warning, a charge of already glitched skeleton archers appeared translucent, firing pixel arrows that passed through walls but hit Steve's virtual ego. He rolled behind a jagged stone formation, brushing dust from his blocky chestplate above. A giant floating server tower blinked with error codes, pulsing red and blue like a malfunctioning heartbeat. This was the source, the Nexus core, the overclocked hub struggling to process reality itself. And inside that twitching tower buzzed Notch, the mythical digital deity of this realm, who had morphed from game creator into involuntary sysadmin during this meltdown. Notch's voice echoed through the broken wires. Patch pending, please wait, reboot imminent. But the reboot was still hours away, leaving every pixel trembling on the brink of total collapse. And the Blocky revolution had no intention of waiting. Across the cracked land, secondary fronts erupted. Creeper commandos in pixel camo snuck behind corrupted iron golems, their TNT strapped like exoskeletons ready to explode. A cat, yes, a Minecraft cat, usually the epitome of calm, now sported glitchy extra legs, purring an unsettling staccato lullaby that scrambled nearby AI routines. Steve spotted it and whispered, "When cats go glitch, everyone haunts." Tentatively, he moved toward a collapsed village. Here, villagers had formed an impromptu resistance, a ragtag militia wielding enchanted fishing rods, accidental broomsticks of hope in this pixelated storm. One, a farmer with a beard made from errant data chunks, shouted for the biome, for the blocks. He swung his rod, lassoing a glitch-spawned pig that flickered with rainbow colors like a rogue modem signal. But then, the ground beneath the village shuddered with static crackle. The glitch spread like spilled ink on pixel parchment. Suddenly, a new enemy emerged. The corrupted admin, a towering figure crafted from broken interface icons and fragmented user commands. It lumbered forward, every step making old menus and loading wheels spin erratically in the background. This was the last boss of the glitch apocalypse, a manifestation of the internet's deepest, darkest errors given monstrous form. Hovering on one shoulder was the infamous blue screen, a mini-dragon that's glitch breath could freeze blocks mid-animation, turning whole chunks of terrain into inert, frozen code Steve, wielding his diamond sword now glowing faintly with corrupted enchantments, charged at the corrupted admin. Their clash was a spectacle of light and sound. A forensic fight of data packets versus hacking code, swords and spells jumbling together into a mix of chaos and hilarity. The admin's massive hands attacked, smashing the ground and causing entire biomes to loop endlessly in their rendering. A frustrating Groundhog Day effect that sent fleeing mobs dizzy in circles. Steve ducked and jabbed, accidentally slicing through a floating pig who squealed in pixel agony before respawning moments later with a jaunty grin. "Oops," Steve quipped. "Wrong target." The battle roared on, drawing surprisingly large crowds of glitch mobs and corrupted villager observers. Somewhere in the cracked distance, a player avatar with a suspiciously modded cape looped by on a jet pack, clearly exploiting this crisis for personal flair, and shouted, "Nice sword, dude. Needs more lava," as they disappeared in a puff of lag and sparkles. Meanwhile, a redstone contraption sparking wildly nearby exploded, launching TNT blocks that failed to detonate but instead reassembled midair into a pixelated banner reading, "Unlock the Easter eggs." The message was unclear, but everyone took it as a rallying cry. Just as Steve felt the grind of frustration, a sudden glitch in the corrupted admin's armor sparked a swarm of error codes to escape like digital bees. These swarming anomalies zipped toward the Nexus core, infiltrating the tower itself and causing massive fragmentation in the data stream. The corrupted giant howled, stumbling as its control frayed. "No system update can fix this," Steve yelled, sensing the tide turn. This moment of victory did not go unnoticed. From the pixelated clouds above, a beacon of light pulsed, a message from the ancient realm of classic Minecraft, where things were simpler, blocks were basic, and the internet hadn't yet turned into a glitchy nightmare. It was a call for unity, glitch and player alike, urging a truce to reboot together rather than destroy. Steve hesitated, lowering his sword. The mobs looked on, their jagged edges shimmering momentarily with hope, while the corrupted admin shrank back into a tentative, unsure form of pure code fragments in the aftermath. The pixelated winds carried a strange aroma, something like freshly mined diamonds mingled with the faint scent of burnt pixels. The Blocky rebellion had not been quelled, yet it had evolved. What had begun as chaos was now a bizarre kind of order, a digital ecosystem where errors and patches lived side by side, each reminding the others they were part of the same wild codebase. Steve, exhausted but resolute, surveyed the landscape. A glitch-scattered wilderness where the internet's glitches hadn't just crashed the game, they'd rewritten what it meant to play. And as the screen flickered toward black, the narrative voice paused with dry wit. So what if the internet glitches in a Minecraft apocalypse? It's not just chaos, it's a revolution coded in blocks, bugs, and a little bit of accidental magic. But one reboot away from absolute insanity. Stick around. The next update might just break reality itself.